Hello, everyone. So usually I don't talk about this, usually international, so usually it's Irish thing, but I did want to talk about this. I heard about this about 2 months ago that the Greek government was talking about this, and it's insane too. A 13-hour workday is a lot of time, and particularly if you have family, it wouldn't be easy. Let's put it that way. It's not easy as it is for people in Ireland, for example. Though usually work about 8 hours a day. The average person works 8 hours, and nurse and stuff would work a 12-hour shift, etc. Um, but this is pretty much the time, but everybody in the country they work a 13-hour shift pretty much. Even the lowest paid workers, etc., in restaurants and hospitality, etc. Usually in Ireland, as I say, it's around 8 hours at most. Sometimes if you're working part time, it's less, of course. But this is pretty much everyone, and of course, 13 hours is a huge amount of time. When you really take in and then getting up in the morning, you're pretty much at work the majority of the day into probably night time, etc. Then if you have children, as I say, it would be impossible to try and look after them and do that. You'd be dead. Like quite literally nobody could do it. Like what I'm trying to say is totally nowadays. I know the Greek government is saying the economy, etc. They need more people to work harder, as the German government have said too. But again, the politicians won't work any harder. The politicians won't bust themselves. Let's put it that way. The politicians will get their big salary anyway, and I have no doubt in Greece that they're getting their big salary anyway. So they're not working 13 hours a day. Don't get me wrong. They're barely working probably an hour a day. It's the same in Ireland. The politicians are barely probably doing an hour a day, but they're getting huge salaries for it. Where the only person has to go out and work for it. But I do the Greek government most likely will, but there's huge uproar, and rightly so, to be totally honest, because it's not fair on the only Greek citizen that has to go out and pay for these politicians, so for the president, etc., to sit in a big fat chair all day and get a big check. It's not fair. It'd be different if the politicians were willing to give up half of their salary, to fill the hole, but they won't do that. But what we should be doing in the West, and I've been a huge proponent of this throughout my life. Well, not my life, but in recent times. Um, you know, we'll get into that in a second, but like people should be working less. To be told, so it does help productivity, like in terms of people producing stuff. If you work in a factory, if you say you work in Ireland, it's a 40-hour week. Take for example. 40 hours is a long time when you really think about it. When you sit down and think about it, it's a long time. It is a long time. It is a good long journey out of your week and stuff. For little that you get paid too, because work doesn't pay nowadays. Unfortunately, like you work a 40-hour week, you get home, half your wage is pretty much gone. The government have swiped it off you, and then when you get home, you pay the electricity bill and you pay for this and you pay for that. You have very little left at the end of the week. But yeah, like people should be working less, really should be, in the modern world, because people are busting themselves, particularly young people, they bust themselves for something they can never afford in terms of houses, etc., buying a house, getting on the property ladder. And people are busting themselves, killing themselves for no reason. And life is precious, and there's more to life than work. Of course, work is important, of course, for your social skills and for contributing to society, etc. But there is more to life, because years ago people basically lived at work, and people live misery, and there's more beauty to life than to work, and I think that's important in the modern world to realise that, because years ago people didn't care about feelings or emotions, etc., but nowadays we do, which is a good thing. But as I was just pointing out with the picture behind me, you might not have known this, but I'm a big fan of the former Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin. To only viewers, people that just casually tuning in, you'd be like, wow, former British Prime Minister, how so? But yeah, she's called for 6 hours when she was the Prime Minister. Now, unfortunately, she's not the Prime Minister. She wanted the 6 hour workday, which is pretty much less time, a lot more time with your family, etc., and more time at Christmas, etc. And it would have worked a 4-day work week, as I say, 6 hour days, but it'd be very good. I do think it would have worked out well. Because it would increase the productivity, like in terms of people working factories and people being less tired. Because usually when you come to toast, in fact, just speaking on my own behalf, you have a bit more energy during the week. You do when it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But when it comes to toasting Friday, you're kind of just gone after, an 8 hour, 8 and 8, 16. You're nearly gone, especially when it's physical work. It's alright if you're sitting in an office, you have a bit more energy. But when you're doing physical work, it's not easy to work a 40-hour shift. So she is right in that 6 hours days would be perfect. I do think that should be the standard. It should be less time than more time, if that makes any sense. Obviously, it would take a drain in the pocket, but I do think it would make up from people working harder, because they have less time, etc. And people get longer time off for themselves, for the families. And I do think it's very important what she says, that it's people deserve to spend more time with their families, with their loved ones, and such things as culture. and I do think she's right. Like, whatever you have to say about Sana Mao, and of course I met Sana Mao a few weeks ago just to add too. But whatever you have to say about her, whatever you personally think about, she is right. And I used to be of the opinion, you should walk as long as you can, and etc. But that's the old way of looking at it. And I suppose Sana Mount changed my mindset on that. Um, so we blame Sana Mount, but no, she is right. Like, when you really sit down and think, when you actually think about it, and when you look at it, that does have a point, and she is right in what she's saying, because it is more to life, and it is precious life. We're not here; we're only here on a holiday, and that's the thing. Some of us for longer than others, and that's just the thing about life, and that's the beauty about life too. We don't know. Every day is a mystery. But yeah, so that's my take. But as I say, it's up to the Greek people to decide. I know as an Irish person, I have no entitlement to tell them what the Greek government or the Greek people to do, and rightly so, because I have no say in the matter. But I hope they don't go ahead with it. To be told, I haven't heard much since. About mid last month, so we see what happens. But I do hope that they don't go ahead, because it is an awful long time. 13 hours a day is an awful long time, and particularly if you have family, or if you have anything else, like if you have a personal life, it's insane. And I know, again, the economic situation and stuff, but there's ways of changing that without forcing people to walk, because you're pretty much walking people into the ground, and it's not the right thing to do. It isn't the right thing, and especially because people won't get more from walking. They pretty much nearly get the same. They won't be benefiting too much. It'll be different if they got a ton of money for it, but they'll probably get a bit more, and that'll be it. But the end of the week, when the end of the week comes, they pay their rent, they pay their bills. You won't see that. You wouldn't even notice that you walked an extra 30 hours or so a week. You wouldn't notice it. But anyway, let me know what you think. As I usually don't cover international stories like this. But I did want the topic because it's something that in Ireland too, that then we see in Germany, as I was saying, that the politicians are saying to the people, "Oh, you need to work harder," but we're going to not do much more anyway, so we're going to get big salaries and stuff. It's the same in Ireland. But in Ireland, Irish people are known for being just fucking horses in terms of walking. And there's huge amount of money in the country. Like, there's really just an insane amount of money. But it's not going to the people, it's going to the back pocket of the politicians. But Irish people are very productive in terms of that. And I don't mean to gloat on, but Irish people are known for being very, very hard working people. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.